What's up, everybody? We have a lot to talk about today, but before we do that, we're joined by Shenmug from Stader, which is a project that is utilizing Hidden Hand and executing on a balancer strategy. So, at the top of the call here, we wanted to give them an opportunity to sort of introduce themselves. That way, people understand who they are, why they're bribing on Hidden Hand, and all of the rest. And then I've also put their Twitter and their Discord in the town hall text for those who may have further questions, because unfortunately we don't have a ton of time to spend on this. We have to, talk about the proposal, talk about some Hidden Hand stuff, talk about Pirex stuff, etc. So, Shanmug, do you mind introducing yourself and also introducing what you guys are building at Stader?
Sure thing, Colton. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Hello, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon, wherever you are. And my pleasure to be a part of this community call today. And I've been part of the Discord for a while since we started bribing, and I definitely appreciate how vibrant this community and how passionate and engaged this community is compared to other Discord communities that I've seen. So great to be here. And I represent the Polygon blockchain at Stader Labs. I lead business development and partnerships at Stader for Polygon, right? And we are a multi-chain staking infrastructure provider. We are present across 4 blockchains currently, across Hedera, Terra 2.0, Phantom, and Polygon, with plans to come on the Near blockchain and Binance blockchain very soon. So at that point, we'll be present on 6 chains live, right? And our thesis has been predominantly to make liquid staking accessible and convenient to everybody. While staking is a huge part of ensuring security for a lot of the proof of stake blockchains today, what that should not preclude people from doing is to basically force them to stake their tokens for the sake of network security and then not be able to use them on DeFi. That's not a win-win outcome in our opinion. So what we present is our liquid staking token. On Polygon, for example, we call it Matic X, which represents the amount of Matic that you staked with the Polygon Smart Chain contract. With Matic X, then you can further participate in DeFi opportunities. So you get the best of both worlds in a sense. You are able to get the staking rewards that Polygon natively offers, which is around 9% APY. And on top of that, we've got liquidity pools on all leading AMMs and DEXs, and we've got lending partnerships in the works as well. And one of our largest LPs is on Balancer. It's the second largest LP on Polygon right now. It's a Matic X low impermanent loss pool. It's around $10 million in size, right? And we've been able to grow rapidly on Balancer thanks to the model that they work on. The metastable pools, of course, is a great advantage for a pair of correlated assets like Matic X. And of course, the Balancer emissions keep ensuring that liquidity providers are compensated fairly. And Hidden Hand is obviously a very important part of how the whole Balancer ecosystem functions. And while we were new to the concept of bribing and how it functioned, but very quickly we came up to speed and we understood the mechanics and what bribers prefer versus not, right? So I'll take a pause there, Colton, and see if this makes sense and if you have any further questions.
Yeah, that was perfect. And one of the things I'm curious about is why you guys chose to go with Balancer instead of something like Curve, for example. Like, what was the decision behind choosing to bootstrap a lot of the liquidity on Balancer?
Great question, Colton. So, firstly, with the Balancer community, we felt that they had better traction on Polygon. This was when we first started building with them, right? And the metastable pools technology that they offered meant very low slippage for a pair of correlated assets like Matic and Matic X, right? At any point in time, there is very little impermanent loss because of how Matic X trades with respect to Matic. It's expressed in terms of the number of Matic as an exchange rate, right? So that was one of the big reasons why we wanted to go with Balancer, the community and the metastable tech.
Yeah, awesome. And Omnia, you had a question. Do you want to ask it just for the recording?
Yeah, I wanted to see how you guys manage the IL, because you mentioned that it's a Matic X no IL pool, so curious to that.
Yeah. So basically, Omnia, what happens is when the Matic price goes up, since Matic X is a derivative token, which inherently is linked to the amount of Matic you staked, right? The Matic X price appreciates by the exact same amount. And the rewards that we have is to the tune of 9% per year. So in a short span of time, it will not be enough to dislodge the peg between Matic and Matic X, right? So if Matic were to go up by 50%, your Matic X price goes up literally by the exact same amount within, let's say, a month's period, right? Within a short span of time, they move exactly similar in prices.
Got it. Okay, thank you for that.
Awesome.
Yeah,
And
sure.
I think now would be a good time to touch on some of the bribes that you guys have been putting up every epoch. So what is the strategy you guys are taking there? How much in dollar value in bribes are you guys putting up each epoch so people can keep a lookout for those?
Sure thing, Colton. So when we and it's been an interesting journey for us, right? When we first started bribing, we were doing typically $25,000 per week, but we were doing it on alternate weeks. We were trying to utilize to our advantage the possibility of the vote lockdown that happens on Balancer, right? Because the votes are locked down for 10 days, but the voting happens every 7 days. So if you try to be clever and if you try and play the game, you could get away with bribing for only one cycle, but have the votes locked for across 2 weeks. That was initially the strategy because it was purely, I personally feel it was basically like trying to take advantage of a flaw in the system, right? But very soon we realized that this cannot continue in the long term because votes are then unlocked and then they're free to migrate after the first 2 weeks, right? Since then we've been more consistent in bribing. So now typically we do anywhere between $15,000 to $20,000 a week on balancer bribes. And last epoch, we started bribing heavily on Aura as well. If I'm not wrong, I think we were the second largest bribe on Aura in the last epoch. We were bribing $18,000. So till date, I would say in a month we've done almost $100,000 in bribes, right, on balancer. So give or take roughly that's $25,000 a week. And increasingly, Aura is also opening up a very ROI efficient means for us to get our bribes across.
Yeah, that's awesome. So a lot of dollar value and bribes here coming in each epoch. So I'm sure people are going to be excited about that, especially now that they've been given the opportunity to hear what you guys are working on. And I think now would be a good time also to talk about any like roadmap stuff. Is like what you guys have built so far, where you're stopping. Are you planning on expanding to different types of pools? Is there any strategy that you guys are working on there?
Sure, Golden. So liquid staking, we still feel is a under-penetrated market. There is much work for us to do. The opportunity is pretty huge, and it's one of the few forms of sustainable yield in DeFi, which is not protocol funded, right? The others being lending predominantly or swap fees in exchanges, correct? And again, Redacted here is another great example of a sustainable DeFi yield model. But given that those are the large opportunities, our next focus is going to be ensuring we have lending partnerships in place so that the Matic X that users mint can be used as collateral, and then users can borrow, let's say, Matic against it and reinvest it again through Stader for again a 9% yield, right? And as long as the loan to value ratio is pretty high with a protocol like Aave or 100 Finance or with OVX, we believe the effective staking yield itself could go anywhere from 9% to 15%, right? So that will be definitely of interest for us. This is again a very hugely popular strategy that is used on the ETH side with ST ETH, for example.
Yeah, perfect. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to hop on the call. Sorry we had a bunch of stuff in the pipeline to discuss today. I would love to kind of keep going for the next couple of minutes, but is there anything else you wanna shout out to the ecosystem or direct them to? I just shared the links that you guys have in the town hall text chat. So anybody who's interested in keeping up with what they're building, keeping an eye on the bribes that they're posting, feel free to follow them or join their Discord on all of those resources. But I'll let you have the stage for a minute to shout out anything else that you want to point to.
Maybe I'll ask one other question.
Yeah, sure.
Sure, Sam.
For like developing like the hidden hand ecosystem and stuff like that. What would be, because we've talked a bit with like the Polygon team itself, right? Could you see like a place where Stader could be bribing on hidden hand other than Balancer and Aura?
For sure, it depends on the kind of other protocols that we partner with also. So, for example, Sammy, I would take that question as if we were to partner with another DEX or AMM, and we've got a few more of those in the pipeline, and if they follow a similar vote-based, community-based representation mechanism, I'm sure we'd be participants on it if they come to Hidden Hand. We are very comfortable with the way Hidden Hand runs things and the transparency and the convenience of actually adding bribes. So we'd be more than happy to participate in that sense. Unless your question meant something else, like we as Stader ourselves, if we could do anything else differently if the DMM or if the AMM doesn't support?
Yeah, no, it's just because we're sort of like right now, like obviously the biggest traction for the bribes is like the dexes, right? And we
Right.
keep expanding to like, different dexes, Trader Joe, stuff like that. But yeah, just curious to know like where else you would want to see like more liquidity for your token and stuff, like beyond the dexes.
Got it. So, Sammy, like I said before, the DEXs and lending protocols are two places where we'll be most focused on, and the third would be more emerging kind of DeFi protocols like options vaults. We believe there are still some traditional finance products that are yet to catch on in a big way in the DeFi space, options being one of them. So, if one of the options protocols becomes large enough, then potentially that could also become a new avenue for a protocol like Redacted.
Cool. Awesome.
Sure.
Anything else, Sammy?
No,
Just
that
one last.
go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt, Shani. I just wanted to say thank you to Sammy, Never, and Chapo. I believe those were the three names I recollect from my conversations prior to this. They've been hugely helpful in us setting up bribes, in spreading the word about our bribes, etc. We are still a young protocol and growing, so we appreciate all the support that we're getting from a community such as yours.
Yeah, and
Thank
we
you, guys.
appreciate you guys like being an early adopter of Hidden Hand and especially like helping push forward the balancer narrative. I think it's very productive for not only our ecosystem but your ecosystem as well. So again, thank you for coming up here and taking the time. And I also shared all of your links. Feel free to hang out in the town hall chat and stuff, just in case anybody has any questions or to share any other resources that you think may be valuable.
Sure, will do. Thanks.
Awesome, thanks. So next topics that we have, how do we want to start this, guys, on the redacted side? Do we want to start off with the RFF? I guess did the vote end? What is the number?
The vote ended 30 minutes ago, and the 500K won. But it's quite interesting. Our highest participation vote and our closest vote. So quite interesting to see the community get involved. That's good.
Yeah, so for everybody kind of out of the loop, RIP22, RIP22 is this proposal to seed the butterfly pool with DAMM or DAM Finance, and I believe the option was 500K, like you just said. And the idea, I don't know, Funky, maybe you can explain it better than me. You've been like more active in the conversation. Do you mind like outlining kind of the basics of the proposal for anybody out of the loop?
Right. So, I mean, I'm not a massive MM expert, but essentially DAMM provides market making services, and the kind of service they would provide is they would create this pool where we could seed some butterfly liquidity. As per the proposal, that amount would be 500K, I guess something to start with. And then they would use that 500K to provide kind of market making or liquidity in the market in various different ways. So market making services can be really useful, especially for people who have like fractionalized liquidity, especially between like on-chain and off-chain liquidity, and can be useful for those who are looking for like centralized exchange listings, things like that. So if we're looking towards getting a centralized exchange listing, this can be really helpful because a lot of these centralized exchanges will ask that you have a market maker who is holding a certain percentage of your circulating supply just to provide liquidity on their centralized exchange. So that basically ensuring that there's somebody to trade on the other side to whoever is wanting to trade on that centralized exchange. I think the main kind of concerns raised by people who were not for this proposal were the kind of concerns around the fact that this kind of 500K that is being seeded is, essentially under collateralized. We're not receiving anything in return. We don't have an IOU. There's no hard guarantee that we'll be receiving the full amount back. And additionally, it's kind of like do we need these MM services at the moment? But that's why it's really interesting to see the community kind of express their interests, and I think both sides made some compelling arguments. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this relationship goes forward. There were some, I guess, animated discussions just before the event ended, and I think Colton and I made some like reassuring points. It's kind of like we're not going to be like running into this with 500k, etc. We'll be developing that relationship with DMM, and the community, will be kept up to speed with what's going on. And if at any point the community doesn't like what's going on, they can always create a vote to alter or change the relationship. So everything's firmly in the community's hands, which is really cool. I think about 25% participation, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so the participation aspect is something I certainly didn't expect, which is very interesting. I mean, I'm glad that more people are getting involved, and I'm glad that we can see what types of things like people want to actively vote on and what they don't want to actively vote on, right? Like one of the conversations we've been having a lot in the Discord is about like what should actually like go to a vote and what shouldn't, and how can we create frameworks around that. So I think like when we have vote turnouts like this, it becomes very clear what's important to everybody and what isn't, and we could start to build a framework around that type of stuff. The one thing I do want to address a little bit regarding this conversation about DAMM is that like I don't think the fear mongering is really appropriate. There were some claims that like there was going to be like all kinds of damage done by this arrangement and things like this, and I kind of understand where the sentiment is coming from. I think it's just a little bit unfounded because the total percentage of the supply is relatively low, and as you mentioned, this is not something that we are just giving them and saying like good luck, have fun with it, go like break stuff. It's something that will be delivered like incrementally, mostly because we just don't have $500,000 in Butterfly on hand right now to like give them in a responsible way. And so it'll be done incrementally. No like one party will hold all of that supply at one time, just because of the way we're distributing it. And on top of that, their team has been nothing but open to like collaborating on what this like partnership and arrangement kind of looks like. And so we can actually have active and productive conversations with them about what we can expect, why we should expect certain things and why we shouldn't expect certain things, what type of behavior we find acceptable and unacceptable, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of flexibility here, and I think like I just don't want people thinking that this is going to like break something in a catastrophic way, because it's just like not set up to do that type of damage. And like if it can be productive for us, we should be like willing to embrace it. And if we figure out that, what, maybe this isn't particularly useful for us, and maybe it could be harmful for the ecosystem, then we can reel it back. And the DAMM team again is like totally open to this idea. So it's not like they're like trying to just like grab this money from us and run in some like weird sketchy way. We know the team knows us. So I think all in all, it's not going to be as bad as some people have tried to make it out to be. So if we're going to talk about this type of stuff, let's try to keep the conversation like productive and then grounded in the facts. And I think like XAG, for example, made a lot of good points on some of his concerns. So I think that's the best way to go about this conversation moving forward. Let's not just like fearmonger and like make everybody else believe something that's like not particularly true, because then we have to unwind all of that like basically psychological damage towards other people, and we don't want to have to do that. So let's keep it grounded in like the facts of the matter and move forward in a productive way, especially now that it looks like it's passed. So anything else we want to tack onto that? And any questions to everybody in the town hall text chat, you don't just have to listen. You can also like, if there's certain stuff you want us to address while we're up here or talk about while we're up here, please make sure to hop in the town hall chat and do so. People are typing, so I'll wait. And Sammy,
It passed?
Yeah, it looks like it passed.
Yeah, it just passed.
Cool.
But now
So
we're good.
I guess like I don't know if you brought this up, Colton, about like phasing the butterfly in there.
Yeah, that's what I was just kind of touching on, is that we don't have like a lump sum of $500,000 of butterfly to just give them right this second. So it will absolutely be phased. So at any given time, so it's already like a small percentage of total supply. And then on top of that, it's like going to be given out in these like chunks. So it's not like, so it's actually an even smaller percentage of the supply that will be in there for most of the relationship. So it'd actually be like easier to monitor. link to the, I'm looking at the chat right now. Is there a link to the treasury for Redacted? Yeah. Okay, cool. Exclamation point treasury, guys. It will be 0.00001% of supply once we found. Funny. Cool. So, I mean, it doesn't look like there's a ton of questions. I think there was a lot of good conversation. There was also like a lot of unproductive conversation in the conservatory channel. So let's try to like keep all of that productive, please. I think that's the most useful way to go about this. Again, it's already passed. So let's think about a way that we can like conceptualize how we should manage this partnership and relationship and stuff with DAMM. I think the team has been nothing but helpful towards us. They're not here, like I said, they're not here to like grab money and run or like do anything shady. They want to actually work productively with us, and we know Ito, we know the rest of the team, and they know us. So like it's cool for us to be able to like talk back and forth honestly about what the trade-offs are. And also, like, in case you missed it, they did come on the community call like 3 weeks ago, something like that. And I believe it was Josh from their team. He came on the call, and for about 30 minutes, we walked through all of the trade-offs. We walked through all of the ways in which they interact with market makers. We walked through all the benefits. We walked through literally everything. And I think he answered all of the questions that people had in an honest and transparent way. And so they're not here to do anything shady. Gangster asks, what's the biggest risk? Go ahead, Sammy.
I think one thing I'll add is like it's now coming from it's coming from like the DAO reserves, right? And because there's the DAO reserves committee, I think it was like VIP 17 or something, that we established like the DAO reserves committee. And if it's shit, like if it doesn't work, like we won't like we'll just like pull out of it, right? It's not like we gave it up forever. So
just like, because this is liquidity, it'd probably come from the pulse. But yeah, I think the community can always do a new vote if they don't like it. So
yeah, so there's always the option to just not do it. And Gangster 123456 asked, what's the biggest risk associated with it from your perspective? I mean, honestly, it seemed like the biggest risk was that people would be able to short in a way that was under collateralized. I think the effects of that are maybe a little dramatic, given like the total amount of supply that they'll have access to at any given time is relatively low. So I don't totally know like what the full risk outline is, but I think we went over some of that stuff on the call.
One easy thing to just say is a risk, which is always a risk, which is one of the reasons we actually like keep moving further down the supply chain and putting out our own smart contracts, because we trust our devs code more than others. Like one risk that always comes up with these things and like future proposals, right? Like now that there's no more V-bases, like we're going to be like a normal token, guys. It's going to be great. But like also like that means that there's a ton of more integrations like in the pipeline, right? And like people proposing similar things because there's no V-bases. So like always, we should always consider like smart contract risk. I sort of like, we sort of talked about it like privately with them and stuff, and looks good. But like, yeah, I guess like when things like this or other things come up, like one risk that always comes up is like smart contract risk, right? I think everyone knows what sort of happened with Fuse and some of these other situations, right? So yeah.
Yeah, and I guess one other risk could be like maybe this isn't the most appropriate use of that amount of money or something. And if we realize that, the cool part about it is that we could always just pull out of the program. So again, we have this like flexibility on both sides. We have flexibility on the depositing side, so how much of the 500K at any given time we're scaling into it, and then we also have the we keep saying pull out, and I'm like not trying to say that over and over again, but we can pull out of the program at any time. So also, again, I just want to recommend, if you're kind of behind on this discussion, please listen to the community call that Molecule linked. It's the one like DAMM discussion is in the title. We literally spend the first 30 minutes kind of walking through all of it in detail. We had there, I don't know what Josh is. He's either, I think he might be the founder. But we had him on, and he walked through exactly what they're building, why they're building it, what the benefits are, what the trade-offs are, etc. So always check that out. Any other things on this we wanted to touch on, or was that pretty exhaustive? Good?
No, I think it's good. I think it's
cool. Awesome. So moving on to hidden hand stuff. I think this last epoch
Maybe
was.
we should just talk about all the proposals first, hey, and then we'll get into the
What all
product stuff.
what all do we have live right now?
The curve whitelist.
Oh shit, yeah, we did that last week. Has there been any like updates on it since then? I'm behind on
So
that.
we're working on getting it posted, and so we're working with Curve to get that posted for us, and we'll get it posted by, I think, probably end of this week, and we'll put out announcements so that people can vote for it. And for those who
So
don't know,
if anyone has V curve, please vote. You know?
Yeah.
I remember when they let me see if there's any OGs in here. Yeah, there's a couple people. Like I remember when we first came out and we said we're going for the whitelist, and everyone said we'd never do it. Here we are, 6 months later, getting the whitelist. So yeah.
Well, this whitelist is way more straightforward too, because it's like it's just for the it's just for the V curve that we hold. It's not like a product type whitelist thing, so it's a lot more clean. It's easier for the curve governance to reason about, which is always great. So we should be able to get that across the finish line, hopefully.
yeah, and there's a lot of recent precedents as well, which the community has been very supportive of it, because Liquidity got it, Abracadabra got it for their product, Frax got it. So there's no reason why we shouldn't get it for our treasury.
Yeah.
Maybe we want to talk about why we want it, Funky.
So there's like a really good reasoning behind the kind of why we want to get the curve whitelist. The kind of TLDR is essentially, right now our curve is kind of just sitting in kind of convex CVX CRV LPs or through CVX CRV, and we're not like engaging directly in curve governance. And by going for the curve whitelist, it means that we can long-term align with the curve community, and we'll be able to engage in curve governance votes and curve gauge votes. Basically, we'll just be way more aligned with the curve community, which is something that Redacted was kind of always was created to do. Basically, it was always to be this kind of vehicle for curve. And I guess, as Sammy is saying, we're kind of fulfilling our long-term ambitions of getting that whitelist.
Yeah, and one other thing I'll add is like, I think like people always look at like our CVX stack or Ohm stack or Toki stack because it's like actively going to work and like generating us like really good yield and stuff, right? And people like often forget that like when the raise happened, like we raised like $20 million of CRV, right? And it's sort of just been LP right now or sitting there, and like I think we can get more out of it. But what I meant by that question, Funky, was that like we're using it for the treasury and not for like the Pirex wrapper or anything like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's if we were doing the whitelist for Pyrex, then that would be a different story. But that's the big caveat. It's only for the treasury, so it's very limited scope there.
Cool. Are there any other proposals that I missed that we should touch on? I don't think so. So we should be good. All right, cool. So that's all the proposals. So again, RIP, what was it, 22 is the DAMM one. That one just passed, and then we covered all that in detail, and then the curve one. So keep an eye out. We'll also make sure whenever that one goes live that we kind of promote it to everybody. On the hidden hand front, last week was a pretty big week, I think, especially in the like balancer Aura ecosystem. As far as I know, we hit sort of all-time high in hidden hand bribes this past week. I think it was like 100-something thousand, maybe just over 100,000 in bribes, which is crazy. And this is like something that's just starting to heat up. I think one of the things we've seen over the past couple of weeks is more and more protocols embracing a sort of balancer hidden hand strategy and wanting to figure out how they can start to embrace it, because the cost per vote, or the what is the metric actually called? What emission per value per vote or something like that is pretty high on balancers. So you get, not only do voters get a really good ROI on their votes, but also so do the sort of the bribers themselves, or the people who are bribing. So everybody wins on the hidden hand front, hidden hand X balancer X Aura front. And then on top of that, Aura ended up passing AIP2. I don't know if that was this week or late last week or something like that, but I know they shared the news early this week where basically they're redirecting rewards for their Aura Balancer 80/20 BAL ETH LPs and adding sort of hidden hand incentives for the same pool on top of that. I don't know what the numbers for that are off the top of my head. Sammy, do you remember what that setup is?
I mean, it's like a whole bunch of numbers and stuff. I think like the best thing to say about it is that like now that the liquidity mine is coming through hidden hand, right? Like we're basically by the end of it gonna own like 2% of the ore supply just off like hidden hand fees. So that's like the best number I have.
Yeah, so you can actually, for anybody interested, I just shared the proposal in the town hall text chat, so you can actually go dig up the literal numbers if you want to. But yeah, the partnership with Aura is just getting more and more productive. I think we have some more stuff in the pipeline that we will probably talk about in the next week or two, something like that. So all is going well. Hidden hand markets, balancer markets popping off. Well, specifically the balancer markets and Aura markets are popping off. So it's good to have that like source of revenue for Aura Butterfly coming in. And I think this is only like, this is a bear market vibe. So hold on. Amia, do you want me to bring you up? Okay, I will in a second. This is like a bear market vibe too. So like imagine if we're getting these type of numbers on that market in a bear market, I can only imagine what it's going to be in a bull market. Especially like bull markets are specifically good for partnerships and all the rest. So Omnia, is there anything on the hidden hand front that you wanted to touch on? All right, your mic's not working. The one time I give you a chance to talk and you're up here with a mic that doesn't work. I don't know what am I supposed to do with this?
Let me do a quick plug on or build build on top of what Colton just said about bear markets and bull markets. Like a lot of our efforts right now are setting ourselves up so that when a bull market does happen, things are accelerated. But anyways, trying to kill some time so that Omnia can recover his reclaim his
yeah, thanks for backing me up. Dude, Omnia, you got to figure this out, bro. We have stuff to talk about, and then you're up here wanting to take time on the stage, and your mic's not working. The one time we give you that chance, it's like, what are we supposed to do?
That's it.
All right, here we go. Now we can hear you.
All right, here we go. For the recording, one time. All right, so yesterday we actually had some interest in like a seven-figure bribe kind of like schedule over 12 months. Obviously we we won't talk about who that's with, but
So
the
like,
idea
thick
is that
boy.
they are looking to bribe big boy, big fish. So they're looking to bribe in their native token up to $1 million worth, and including some other tokens like over the next 1 year. And they just created a balancer pool, and they're looking to get whitelisted for gauges and whatnot. But ultimately, like that's on the hidden hand front. Let's just say, like, even though this was a fantastic week, like there is so much more buildup, like happening like in the shadows, so to speak. And I expect like even greater product growth in the coming months, if not years. So it's been really fun.
Awesome. Yes, I know the BD team has had a lot of interesting behind the scenes conversations. And there are definitely some big bribers coming in. I think like one of the cool developments that we've seen on the hidden hand front is that people are starting to just make it a pivotal part of their sort of go to market strategy for bootstrapping adoption for their tokens, which is a crazy thing to see, right? Because it makes hidden hand this like fundamental Lego in everybody's strategy. And the more that we can sort of add protocols and onboard protocols, and the more that we can like show them that this stuff actually works and it works well and it's worth the investment for them, then the more people end up doing it. And I think like one of the things we're going to do on the marketing side too is just continue highlighting the success that protocols are having through hidden hand. And I think that'll be a cool development to see. Okay, any other stuff on the hidden hand front that we want to add? Cool. All right. Any questions on the hidden hand front, everybody? I'll wait 1 second, and if not, then we're moving on, and we'll let KP take the stage.
What did you mean by DopeX, home?
Yeah, what do you mean? Is that something that you're wanting, a DopeX market? Well, you gotta ask the question, bro.
VE DopeX, like, yeah, yeah, like we talk to them all the time, right? Like I think we've like been talking about it's like the project launched like in December, right? Like you, okay, like what I'll say is like there's I think we saw this with like Ribbon, right? Like Ribbon, I know Ribbon's like hidden hand market is GMI because of like what they're planning to do and stuff. But you know, when you have like a project that like revolves exclusively around like major cap tokens, like I don't think we're expecting like Satoshi to like bribe the BTC vault or like Vitalik to bribe like the ETH vault, right? Like the best hidden hand markets so far have been the ones that are like have like a good focus on like long tail assets and stuff like that, like the projects that like really need that liquidity, right? And I think with DopeX, like it's not their fault, right? It's just like the way the system works. Like it's more tailored to major caps, right? And for the most part, options too. Um, so we're trying to figure out. I think there's like definitely something cool to do there around like Plutus and Jones and all this sort of stuff. So we're trying to figure it out with them. Obviously they're the homies and stuff. Hopefully soon, you know. Hopefully soon.
Yeah, and just to tack on at the end of that, like, we don't want to commit a bunch of resources up front to markets that we don't know will do well. So basically, like, what we can do, however, is like pay close attention to markets as they're developing and like implement them if it makes sense, you know. So if like VE DopeX or VE DPX ends up being like a thing that really takes off and they find product market fit on the bribe side, then there's no reason that we couldn't do like an integration and implement it. So just a matter of like playing it by ear sometimes and seeing how these markets develop, because I think there are some projects who get overconfident on their ability to have people come in and bribe, and then there ends up being like no demand for it. So something to keep an eye on. Cool. If there's no more questions on the hidden hand front, then KP, the floor is yours. Talk about Pirex or whatever else you felt like you wanted to brain dump today on the dev side.
Damn, thanks for giving my chance, Colton.
Yeah,
I promise I won't let you
the spotlight is on you.
Just imagine, yeah, no, but
KP,
yeah,
before you start, talk about your grass experience.
And the
yeah,
tattoo,
no.
and the tattoo. You got a tattoo.
Oh man, that was alpha. I mean, but yeah, now I'm definitely. I mean, don't ever say that I didn't dox myself, because this is definitely something that is
Well, it's a
gonna set me
hentai
up.
tattoo, so I mean, it's pretty recognizable. Like anybody could see it.
Yeah, I got it so that people might mistake me for Magnus or something. But yeah. But no, I mean it was a great wrestling experience. I do think that it gave me a lot to think about, and hopefully that will benefit. I mean, yeah, everyone should just take a break when they need to, and don't feel like you're yeah, really grateful for the team for just, carrying on business as is, even while I was out touching, beaches and things like that. But okay, so on the Pyrex side of things, we're seeing just great Pyrex convex growth. I think we're looking at something like 10% or more week over week, and I don't think that upward trajectory is going to change, especially as we continue to prove ourselves out. And we're not even fully done with the product, right? We still have one major piece that we're going to be adding to all of this. And it just so happens that, or it's unfortunate that it's the summer or also the bear market. So that there's just a lot of things, or the environment is in a certain state that it's yeah, may take slightly longer than expected, but we're still really excited. I think Colton said it best. I think it was Colton. I don't really
Well, just
go
give
on
me the
for a while.
credit. Yeah, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, today. But yeah, there are no PRX tokens or anything, and we're having users or gaining users and deposits based on the value that we provide, and that's really what we want. Whoever's farming airdrops, you should stop. Yeah, you might be getting wrecked. I don't know. But okay, so that's Pyrex Convex. Well, no, I'm not done with that yet. Sorry. So I think something that was brought up recently was the fact, or questions about our peg and comparing swap rates and things like that. It's something that we're constantly thinking about, and that we're improving as far as how we're handling it, improving liquidity and our ability to keep the peg intact. One of the things that we're going to be rolling out soon is the ability for LPs to claim rewards that are associated with their PX-CVX. So right now, if you were to LP, your PX-CVX portion of the liquidity that you provide, you wouldn't be able to claim the rewards. And it's because of how we attribute rewards, at least for PX-CVX. It's based on your balance. So that means that if the tokens are in the custody of another account, then you would not, then unless they claim it, you wouldn't get any of it, right? So we recently created a solution to that. Shout out to Benny for bringing up the idea. He might have just been joking, but it actually turned out to be brilliant. And we had that audited recently, and we should be deploying it shortly. I think it's just we need to handle something on the front end. So I guess the takeaway there is that as an LP, let's just say you put in 50 PX CVX and 50 CVX, you'll be able to claim the bribes from the 50 PX CVX portion of your rewards. I mean, I'm not 100% sure exactly how we're going to do it yet, because that's kind of, there's a lot of room to maneuver there, but we'll definitely provide updates as we finalize that. It's just that we're setting up the capability to do that. So that's the LP thing. Yeah, we're still rolling out Pirex convex functionality on the front end. So there is one final piece, the expert mode component, which would allow you to mint your future yield as tokens, and also a marketplace for you to trade those tokens. And we're speaking with legal counsel and stuff, just making sure that we do it in a way that is regulatorily compliant, because there's just been case, the last thing we want is to just end the party by tripping up on something like that. So something that we're focusing on compliance. But really appreciate everyone. Really appreciate everyone hanging in there and bearing with us as we juggle all the different projects that we have right now. We did bring on some new people, and we're going to continue doing so that our efforts will be accelerated. We recently brought on Swiller and Maddie B, who have been awesome so far, and they'll be assisting Greenberg's on the front end side of things. So definitely expect our efforts to get even faster.
100%. Oh, speaking of new devs though, we forgot to shout out the bots, the new Pirex and Hidden Hand bots that Hot Wheels put together. Hold on, let me find the Twitter link for. Well, first off, they're in the Discord. So if you're wanting to keep up with Hidden Hand bribes and Pirex deposits, there are now channels for this where the bots are letting everybody know about the deposits. I mean, somebody just came in and deposited 12 CVX to Pirex, for example, which is $98. So that's pretty cool.
That channel is like the most active channel we have.
I know, bro. Well, it's especially since all these smaller deposits have been flooding in lately. Some of them we don't know where they're coming from.
Maybe that's just all we have left. Maybe that's just everyone's CVX bags are just worth that much though.
Yeah, it's all the dust. But anyway, we what is the handle for the Hidden Hand bribe bot, dude? Why can I not? Oh, here it is. Hidden Hand bribe. I'm dumb. So this is the new Hidden Hand bribe bot on Twitter. So if anybody wants to keep an eye on bribes as they roll in, you can now do that. So shout out to Hot Wheels for setting these up. This is something we've been trying to get up for a while, and now that we have the sort of bandwidth on the dev side, he was able to just whip these up really, really quickly. So you can kind of track bribes in real time there, which is dope. It looks like now we've got links added and everything. So there's even nice little links and images added to the bribe. So big W across the board. Anyways, sorry, KP.
Did that, right?
What's up?
I think Swiller did that. One of the new devs.
Oh yeah. Well, you're calling him something, and I'm calling him Hot Wheels. So.
All right. Whoops.
So we could be talking about the same person. I don't actually know.
He goes by Hot Wheels now.
Okay. Yeah. So how dare you? He identifies as Hot Wheels.
Yeah, always.
Yes.
I mean, Omnia will always be known as 0x UST to me.
It is true. Like Omnia is trying to like escape his destiny, and he just
His
can't.
path.
So yeah, you can't run from your
Completely.
past. You have to embrace it. Dude.
You guys gotta vibe up on that.
But
UST died in May, bro.
Yeah. Hot Wheels is a sick name. Yeah, I know. That's actually a dope name. I like Hot Wheels. Hot Wheels.
But yeah, Omnia has really proven himself to be a major contributor, and we hope that other people who join us later will, yeah, we're pretty sure they will. But yeah, just really excited about all the people we're working with now.
Anyways.
Speaking of like what we're looking for devs, just because I do think it's a pretty important, effort on our end is, I mean, yeah, I mentioned rock solid fundamentals in the past, but I'm starting to realize now, I mean, yes, you definitely have to have great fundamentals, but at the same time, I do think that even people with good fundamentals, something that they may be missing is actually like truly caring about what they do. Like, I don't think we're, geniuses or anything, but if there is one thing about us, is that we truly really fucking care about like what we do. And I think that, so if you feel that you have potential and you actually really care and you actually enjoy what you're doing, like hit us up. I mean, you don't have to be, a god at coding right out the gate. So I guess that's my call for potential people who are, who are interested. And yeah, just don't be shy. We're pretty nice. I mean, so
100%. And the reality is that I can't build everything. So we need
yeah, I know.
audience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It comes with the occasional roast by Colton that is in the job description. So just
Yeah.
know that you are also, basically signing to get roasted on a bi-weekly basis. Sometimes daily though. It depends how the cereal and coffee turns out for Colton.
Something like that. Yeah. So in the last in the last 10 minutes here, we'll open it up to general questions, and we have a few. So I'll start with XAGs. When do the aura and balancer?
Wait, Colton. Not done yet.
Okay.
This is an important bit, but I'll wrap it up quick.
Yeah, go fast.
So new Pyrex integrations. I think this is what's most exciting, I suppose, is so we already started work on the next Pyrex integration. It's a great opportunity and really grateful for Karn. I don't think they're here right now, but the MVP for that should be done as early as next week, or the following week at the latest. And after refinements, reviews, etc. I mean, and audits. I do think an end of August launch date for that is possible. So that's something exciting to look out for. It's, just another Pyrex convex that is a huge, hopefully a huge way for us to intake value. And I mean, of course, we would be providing value to users of those tokens. But anyway, hopefully that's exciting for everyone here. But I think the best part is that not only will that new integration be done next week, and when I say new integration, I'm talking about a new protocol. So like just like Pyrex Convex is one integration or one implementation around a protocol. Yeah, maybe I'll say implementation instead. It's much better. But yeah, that's going to be done end of August. So and something like Pyrex Convex is going to be done. And the best part is that we're also going to start another implementation around another protocol, hopefully next week also. So
let's go.
These things are going to be starting to be done in parallel. And so
cool.
Is that cool?
Yeah, no, that was perfect. And yeah, I think like I think the most recent Pyrex developments are going to be cool because it shows that Pyrex is way more than just like a simple like convex liquid wrapper or something like that. Like it's actually going to be a pretty big product and it's like total scope, and it's going to touch like a lot of different protocols across the space. So that's going to be sick. Here in the last few minutes, let's do the general question. So XAG asked earlier, when do Aura and Balancer add their sort of internal bribes, like the ones that come from their improvement proposals that passed? Are those like added last minute? I actually don't know when those get added. Sammy, do you know like what the timeline for those is?
Repeat that.
So the question is, when do Aura and Balancer add their sort of internal bribes, the one that come from their improvement proposals like BIP 19 and stuff? Is that added last minute or early on?
Good question. I would assume it would be at the end of every epoch when they were going to distribute it to the VE BAL lockers.
Yeah, so maybe we'll just have to get.
So that would mean that it would be like at the end of every vote, I would assume.
Cool,
But
and we
let's
can
see what-
double check
see
with
what
them.
they're doing.
Yeah, we'll see what happens this epoch, and we'll take note of it, and we can also talk to their team because I don't know.
Yeah.
Then Night Rave asks, can someone touch base on the set and forget strategy via the new coming version of Butterfly? So like RL Butterfly. So it's not really set and forget because you have to claim your revenue, right? Or you don't have to every epoch, but you'll like need to claim it to actually realize the gains on it. So you'll have to claim it and then sell for more RL Butterfly until like eventually an auto compounder gets released or something like that. Am I off base there? Is that correct? I'm just gonna assume I'm right if nobody responds.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I thought. Okay. So Ready Barrel One kind of just wants a general update on our RL Butterfly. I'll say this. We are having a meeting on Monday to finalize the rollout schedule, I think. Or early next week. We're having an internal meeting to finalize the rollout. What? Was that too much information? I mean, that didn't get
Oh, bro, because we had the meeting before that where we said we're not going to say dates anymore. So
I didn't. No, no, I'm not. We're not. I'm not saying a date. I'm just saying we're meeting early next week to actually finalize the date.
Okay, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, which we are doing. So like
announcement of an announcement, guys.
Exactly, he's doing a CZ.
Yeah, it's an announcement of an announcement. That's the most I can give right now because I'm not gonna announce a date just in case it changes between now and by the time we have that meeting. So we're trying to get it like finalized, guys. What does the so there's two questions here. What does the Redacted and Aura partnership entail? And then if a new AMM was being built and they launched on Hidden Hand, used Aura to enhance rewards and use Pirex to tokenize future votes, how would you see that stack playing out? The first question, so what does the Redacted and Aura partnership entail? Basically, the TLDR is that they're just doubling down on their use of Hidden Hand in a more explicit way through AIP2. Like we were talking about earlier in the call, I don't remember the exact numbers, but they're routing like a meaningful amount of like Aura sort of tokens through Hidden Hand now as bribes. So that'll be a good way for us to sort of build up a stack of Aura that we can leverage in the treasury, and then it'll also be a good source of revenue for our Butterfly. On the AMM stack question, I don't totally follow. I guess the general question is like if
I think it's more just about like flywheel trying to conceptualize.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so as you guys know, like Hidden Hand and Pirex, like they're the perfect combo, right? Like we're yet to see an instance where we sort of just like come in there and like we're running Hidden Hand and the Vapor at the same time. KP is talking about it. I see in the chat about like what the next project we're integrating Pirex into is. It's not something that's on Hidden Hand right now, but I think like going forward, the plan is definitely to do that, right? Like if there's something that's like leading the pack, going into like the next bull or something, like we're gonna be there trying to like own all the tokens at the same time, like run the whole incentive structure around it, right? So, that if that answers your question, that's the answer.
Yeah, so hopefully that was helpful. Funky, do you want to answer this question just for the Oh, hold on,
Okay,
really
sorry.
quick on this one that Funky answered. Do you want to answer this for the call, Funky? So somebody said, am I right in understanding that the amount of Butterfly we will get in RL is divided by the index? I'm assuming they're referring to like the Butterfly V2 token. So
Yeah, so I answered this one just to clarify. It's not so the way that the migration will work is that if you have Butterfly, X Butterfly, WX Butterfly, the number of V2 Butterfly you'll get will be for X Butterfly, and Butterfly will be the based on the Butterfly index. So what Butterfly index means is if you had staked from day one, how many Butterfly do you have now? And that's important for WX Butterfly. And we have an RFF about this, so there's like more details there, but essentially on the date of, we'll have further details, but on the day of launch, we'll set the Butterfly index, and the butterfly index numbers so that if you have, say the butterfly index is around 7.6, if you have 7.6 V1 butterfly, you can exchange that for one V2 butterfly. If you have 7.6 X butterfly, you can change that for one V2 butterfly. If you have one WX butterfly, you can change that for one V2 butterfly. And what that also means is that instead of having a 5 million or around 5 million supply cap, we'll have a supply cap of 5 million divided by the index at the time. So essentially,
Maybe actually like the UI here would give like a clear example, right?
yeah.
That thing that Justin spinned out. You have the link.
One sec.
I'll look for it too.
Cool. We'll wait. I guess, Funky, if you provide that example, you can drop it in. Sammy, which question were you going to ask a second ago?
The Vodium stuff.
Okay, yeah. So for the recording, are we ever going to go after Vodium down the line once Pirex and Hidden Hand synergies are more clear to the market, or are we just going to leave them to it?
Yeah, so I think I mentioned this like a while back on like another interview I did. We are working while it's not at like the top of the priority list. Like I think we made it clear like RL is like at the top of the priority list right now. One of the hidden hand markets we are working on is something we called CurveX, right? Which is like an aggregator of bribes across like the whole curve and convex ecosystem. So rather than just like placing ourselves in the middle of it and having to compete with Vodium who has delegates and all this sort of stuff and bribe.crv and you guys get it. What we're looking to do is like set up a system where let's use like Lido as an example. Lido can give us $2 million for the sake of it. And then we would allocate it across the different platforms so that they can get the highest dollar per CRV possible when it comes to things like PX CVX, band CVX, normal CVX, VE curve, SD curve, like all these different derivatives and all the different markets that come along with it. So we would allocate it accordingly. We would sort of take our fee there, and then as we sort of build up the stack, I think that's when we'd introduce our own market. But I think like the way we're planning on penetrating it is sort of like an aggregator, where like a briber can come in and split his vote across multiple places based on like our policies, decision making, and sort of get people to just like use hidden hand as like the way to access all bribes in like the curve and convex realm, which should help like Pyrex also now that I think about it. But yeah, like sort of just having it as like the HQ for all bribes, there is like a value capture there in the sense that like for the bribers, like because we're allocating it accordingly, like we can take our fee, and then as everyone sort of just like consolidates into the hidden hand market, like we want to like strategically roll out our own version, right? But there's a ton of blockers of just like going directly there in the sense of like the current like landscape of that specific market. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I think so too. And like, I mean, it's one of those things, right? If you go with the king, you can't miss. Like, it just seems like a strategic blunder to kind of like just go straight for Vodium in some way or another. We can instead like find other ways to like embed ourselves into the ecosystem.
Yeah, people are saying I leaked it. I talked about it before, I think. I talked about it before. We haven't like told people outside of the community yet, but yeah.
Yeah, so nobody leaked that shit. We need the alpha. Cool. Any other questions that people have as we kind of wrap this up here? If not, then I will let everybody enjoy their weekends.
Did you find the link, Funky?
Wait, I think Figgy posted it in the general of the Slack. I couldn't find the page that you were mentioning. Maybe you can find it.
Yeah, we'll share it. We don't have to share it right this second. Just whenever we grab it, we can share the link or whatever. I don't want to send a bunch of people to the link because I don't know if it's like ready for a bunch of traffic or anything. Cool. If there's no other questions, or just fucking send the link. If there's no other questions, thanks everybody for hopping on as usual. Sammy just kind of leaked the early UI for V2 stuff.
No, I mean like this is the answer. Like what Funky, like obviously it's not even a testnet deployment. It's just the UI. But like It's so that like Funky can the answer like the question Funky was trying to get about how it works. Like you can go to the migrate page and sort of get an idea for like what one butterfly equates to in V2 and stuff like that.
Yeah, good point.
All right, cool. Well, thanks again, everybody. As always, it's great having these conversations, walking through everything. I have my workflow and like all set up now, so I'll get this recording up ASAP, and then everybody enjoy their weekend.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah,
Peace out.
have a nice weekend, guys.
Peace
Thanks,
out.
gang.
Thanks, guys. See ya.